I feel like we got good response from the last episode. A
Who?
big jump in ratings at least, or
Well,
subscribers.
yeah, we have a few more humans.
A dark
We went up
growing
from
horde.
but the Dark Horde grows. The Dark Horde grows in power and silence.
Okay, are you back? You're so
Yeah,
frozen.
I. Oh, you were so frozen. I
Oh
thought, but you were frozen. You were
no.
frozen making this face,
Oh,
and it made it seem like Sophie was just off camera, and you were like, you don't let me do
nope.
this or what?
Be cool.
Be cool.
Be cool.
Mm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Okay. Well, what? I need to ask you about those things, though. I don't know when you want me to ask you about
sure.
the hypnotist and the spider.
We had just the usual where you say, I got a text from you, and it was weird.
Oh, okay, got it.
Um, Also, so this episode we're going to talk about America
Ooh.
and the I'm just okay, so here's the format I want to do this episode that I'm thinking I'm going to try out. Is we talk a little about puzzle, and
Hmm.
then the story is pretty short, but there's lots of like larger ideas related to the story that involve
Okay.
like America and interlocking systems and like overarching constraint, I guess would be the way. Point
Hmm.
is have story, talk,
Hmm.
puzzle, answer. But the
Got
talking
it.
be about the subject. I should have told you before
Got
so you
it.
could think about it, but like I'll explain it, but it's just like big ideas of how societies work instead of
Okay.
the yeah. And also there's a puzzle. What's wrong with you?
Sorry, can you hear all that?
Yeah. Yeah, there's like a
Oh
pounding.
man, what the heck is going on in my
Maybe it's
house?
maybe it's the shadowy horde. Our audience is finally making
Yeah, I
itself
know.
known.
Yeah, they finally found out where I live, I guess. Okay.
Can you hear like a
My
bubbling in the background?
is someone taking a bubble bath?
No. But can you hear that?
No.
No, a fish tank and a fish filter, and so
Oh.
and also my computer I think is making tons of noise. But can you hear it at all?
Mm-mm.
Great.
I mean, cool. I mean, I'm
I mean,
apparently my
you're gonna get murdered.
all my roommates are moving out, and they have construction workers redoing the top floor. I
Sorry.
really
Well,
thought.
we can do a proper live show with actual video now because we don't have to worry about the hum of my computer.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Anyway, what is going on?
Nope. Now you're gone. So Zach walked out inexplicably. I don't know where he's gone. I'm gonna tweet about the show.
No, I should have a sign right here that says on air when I'm recording.
You tell him.
Sorry, I just remembered. I mean, I didn't just remember this. My roommates are having some friends visit from out of town, and one of them was just like taking everything he owns and putting it in his car.
Did you hear me?
No, you were frozen again, making the same face.
I said, Zach, this is untenable.
Untenable?
As in, this is not a thing we can put up with if the computer keeps freezing.
Oh. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Whatever, we'll figure it out. I'll know when it's frozen because you'll stop moving your face.
Yeah, now I know when you're frozen because you'll stop moving your face, and you'll be
Seems-
looking judgmentally off in the distance.
That's just my face.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where is Sophie? Where's Sophie?
She is at a alumni brunch with her sorority.
Oh, cool. Oh yeah, it's homecoming weekend. So
Yeah. Yeah. I assume you didn't go to homecoming.
nope, I didn't. I was here.
I'm gonna start the show.
Man, this really would have been the only homecoming that I really could have participated in to where it would make sense.
Why?
Because I would also be homecoming, but nope.
Because you would be coming home to your home.
Because I'd be coming home for
Yeah, but
homecoming.
That will be true next year too, right?
Yeah, but this was the first one that
yes.
I could have participated in, and I totally ditched it. But
Yeah,
who cares?
you're a rebel. Hey everybody, welcome to Solve It. This is the show where we talk about puzzles, codes, and the history of encryptions. My name's Sam Cherry, and I'm Costa. Fuck.
Man, our first video live show is going to be great for all of our mature listeners.
Yeah. Hey everybody, welcome to Solve It. This is the show where we talk about puzzles, codes, and the history of encryption. My name's Sam Cherry, and I'm co-hosting as always with
Zach Johnson.
Zach. How are you?
I am doing well. Sam, how are you?
I am also doing well. I am in Bowling Green this weekend for homecoming. So,
ooh, the Bowling Green office is gonna go to gotta go to the Bowling Green studio for this one.
That's our temporary studio that both of us use.
Yeah, when we end up in Bowling Green, we have to get the keys for the Bowling Green studio.
Yeah.
So as always, or at least most weeks, you sent me a cryptic puzzle, but you also sent me a cryptic text. And this one just says, remind me to talk about the hypnotist and the spider.
Okay, you're back. Oh, okay. I sent you a text. Zach, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, you're gonna have to do that thing again.
Should I be moving around a lot to where
No, I could see you moving. You just weren't talking.
So this week, as almost all weeks, you sent me a very cryptic puzzle, but you also sent me a very cryptic text. And this one just says, remind me to talk about the hypnotist and the spider.
So at the place that I work, we deal with lots of different kinds of footage and private investigator stuff. Proprietary codec. I know. I don't know why I'm using. Okay. They put a lock on their footage so that you could only open it if you use their devices, which is stupid because if you're ever trying to put it in a court case, unless you bring the jury to the surveillance desk, how are they ever going to see the footage? It's really infuriating. To where basically you can never use the footage for anything. It's dumb. And so, but my boss was having me get around this. And so I'm on the computer, downloading software and reading all these forums to figure out how to hack on this surveillance footage. At the same time, I'm tweeting people puzzles. I'm just sending puzzles to people on the solver.
Yeah, I saw that happening. because I was getting updates like on my phone. It was like blank blank like says this and this, and you're frozen.
I know. You said, yeah, I saw that.
Man, I'm gonna try to like. What if I just
Is everything
I
closed on your computer, like all of your Wi-Fi things?
like let's see. No, but I'm right now adjusting my bandwidth to where you're like fuzzier,
Okay.
but maybe the audio will come through better.
We might just have to
Um,
cut the video.
that might have to be
And it might
that
be,
might have to
well,
be
it probably has to do with the fact that I'm at Sophie's house.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, let's see.
Also, this
I mean,
this story isn't that interesting. I'm not going to tell it.
oh, it's not?
Well, basically, now that I'm telling it, I realize it's not that interesting. Basically,
Okay.
what the punchline is the one of the rental offices, like the office space next to our
Mhm.
space, is a teach you how to be a hypnotist office, and
Okay.
so there's always this like small crowd of people who are learning to be hypnotists standing right outside the office doors, and
That's so That's so Nashville.
so stupid. And where my desk is, I can see out the front doors. And so there was this big spider that was like hanging from a web, and there were these 5 like ponytailed hypnotist guys just staring at the spider. And like I'm like, and I don't know why they were just like staring at it. And I'm sure talking about aura or something stupid.
The frivolity of life.
No, that would be interesting. It'd be like, I think my chakras, whatever. But not like the actual like 1,000-year-old tradition of chakras, like something they read on the back of a bus about chakras and whatever.
How many things do you read about chakras on the back of buses? Nashville's more interesting than I thought. Squibbity bop, flibbity blue. It doesn't matter what I say to you.
This is so frozen. It's so frustrating. Okay. How did you lower your bandwidth? I don't know what that means.
I just went to like whenever you put your mouse over the thing, there's like that top bar that pops up. Is like there's a microphone, there's a camera, and then there's like the Wi-Fi signal. I went to that and I just adjusted my bandwidth to low. Whoa.
Okay, I did that too.
Am I next level fuzzy?
No, but that's okay.
Oh well. Okay, well, you're next level fuzzy.
Okay, maybe this is better. Oh, who cares? I guess.
Who cares? I guess.
Vomit. Whatever. So it was just
Whoa.
funny because it was like I'm sitting here trying to, hack on surveillance footage and sending encrypted messages to people while some hypnotists were like staring at a spider, and I realized that I've made all the right choices in life. And
You were trying to hack on what?
surveillance footage. Like I was trying
Okay.
to, yeah. Anyway, it's not as interesting as I thought it would be, so never mind. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Well, we can.
So Zach, how are you doing?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Since we, okay. Well, I think the thing I'll talk about, we'll officially drop the name Dark Horde or Shadowy Horde. Yeah, Shadowy Horde. We'll officially drop that name. Okay. Yeah. So we'll talk about that.
Just go for it.
Okay. Here we go. So say, how are you?
So Zach, how are you?
I'm doing well. It's been a great week. Our fan base has yet again grown more strong. It has grown stronger and also grown more silent.
Despite me spending a whole day sending puzzles to people trying to get them to interact.
Yeah, I noticed that because we shared the Solve It account. If that ruined the magic for anyone, I'm sorry.
God damn it. God damn
oh, wait. Is it just freezing a bunch?
This is awful.
What is happening?
How low can this bandwidth go?
Yeah, let's throw this bandwidth into
potato mode. Beating about potatoes.
You look like the way that like they put people on like crime shows that have admitted to crimes, but like
I look like the Slender Man.
You look like you're about to be like, yeah, so I went to the gas station and I saw him. I saw Tony. He was the guy that did it. Yeah, like that's what you look like. You look indistinguishable. You are the perfect level of resolution that if this was an online date, I'd be like, yeah, he was pretty handsome, I think. I don't I have no idea. Like he looked like
That's
he was a Mr. Potato Head. I was it
that's
was
that's a person.
oh, yeah, that's a person.
Whatever. Talk about the shadowy horde.
Okay, let's do that. That's the last time. If this does not
Go ahead.
if this does not work, then we have to go to audio only.
Yeah, and Sam has to be furious.
Yeah. Okay. So ask me how I'm doing again.
Yeah. Hey Zach, how are you?
I'm doing really well. This week, our fan base has grown stronger and also more silent, which is great. You sent me a picture that you worked on that I'll tweet out, which is a picture of our fans, and it is a bunch of eyes living inside the haunted mirror in your last apartment.
Yep.
Yep, the shadowy horde. They are
Yes.
called.
I like the idea that instead of having like a nice sweet name or like, oh, it's fuck, 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 fuck.
um,
But see, now how are we gonna know when we're
uh,
paused? How are we gonna know when we're freaking?
that's true. Well, maybe because it's audio only, then it won't happen.
Who knows? Well, and also
Who knows?
it could be that my audio is coming through the whole time. So really, we have no idea.
Yeah, really. I mean,
Well, maybe next week I'll be back at my house and it'll be easier.
you'll be back at the Nashville office where the Wi-Fi is plentiful.
Sure is. Um, where were you talking about the shadowy horde?
So you were about to say, yeah, I like the idea that it's not a fun name, so you can start from there.
Oh yeah, I like the idea that. Yeah, I like the idea that we don't have like a nice fun name like Solve It Nation. It's like no, you are a hulking shadowy horde waiting to strike. Although this is something that occurred to me that perhaps creating a program that fetishizes secret societies and summoning forth a shadowy horde that can speak in, secret messages will prove to be a mistake for us. This may end up not turning out well, but for now, good on you, hulking shadowy horde.
Yeah, man, the Shadowy Horde, stronger every day.
Stronger every day.
If you are a member of the Shadowy Horde, just know that you are a member of a growing nation. Like if you think you're the only one that's you're alone, everyone that's listening to this podcast, you are not alone. There's a strong number growing amongst you.
So you cut out, yeah.
I cut out? Ah, man.
Yeah. And we have no idea which audio is being recorded, so.
Yeah. Oof.
Well, what if we let's go into the looking glass. What if we went and watched the YouTube video and see who's being recorded?
Okay.
Maybe we can hear both of us.
Maybe.
This sucks.
Dude, just go sit right next to the router. That's where the Wi-Fi is strongest.
I feel like you did that in a voice, which means that it's not true.
I mean, maybe it's true. I don't know. I don't know anything about Wi-Fi.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't know a single thing.
But Zach, you're 23.
I mean, I didn't. It wasn't like I turned 23 and they gave me the. It's like, all right, here's the Wi-Fi handbook. You should now know.
But Zach, you were born in the 90s.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was born by
Hold
the
on.
sound of a router. I was born by the internet, molded by it.
Oh wow, my audio sounds much better.
I did not see Wi-Fi until I was already a man. Whoa, mama, welcome to the 60s. Whoa, oh, 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 oh. Go, mama, go, go, go.
Zach, stop talking. Oh, okay. So you didn't cut out at all. I cut out the video.
Maybe I have the stronger Wi-Fi.
Well, or maybe it's when I'm paused. Whatever. This isn't important. It doesn't matter. We'll figure it out later.
We'll figure it out later.
So here, do you want to turn on your video?
Sure.
I will turn on your video. Now we lost our viewer. Okay, fine.
Beep,
Whatever.
bopple,
Beep boop bop
beep,
boop.
bopple, beep, 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 beep.
So every week on Solve It.
Wait, are we done? Is that going to cut together well? Are we just done talking about the horde?
Yeah, you said your whole bit all came through.
Okay, cool. All right.
So every week on Solve It, every week on Solve It, Zach and I send each other puzzles. And Zach, this week I sent you a puzzle. Do you want to describe it?
Absolutely. So this week you sent me a puzzle, and it is a series of numbers with a wavelength above it. And the numbers are 2, 4, 3, 5, 7, 0, 1.
And Zach, did you solve the puzzle?
I did not solve the puzzle, but I did enough research to know what this is referring to.
Okay, yeah, you were paused for that whole thing. You did what?
I did not solve the puzzle, but I did find out what this puzzle is referring to.
What is it referring to?
To get that, the code you sent me, or the hint you sent me, was when you walk through the garden, you better watch your back, which is a reference to a song by a gentleman named Tom Waits, who, sidebar, I looked into this guy for no reason because I knew the answer to the puzzle wasn't Tom Waits.
You're right.
But he wrote the song, and the song is called Way Down in the Hole. And his voice, if you hadn't heard this guy sing, his voice is just the graveliest voice of all time. And I did some research, and I found this critic writing about his voice, and it said, it sounds like it was soaked in a vat of bourbon, left hanging in the smokehouse for a few months, then taken outside and run over by a car.
Yeah, Tom Waits.
Which is perfect. But you sent me this because it is the theme song to The Wire.
It is the theme song to The Wire.
Which is a show that you're watching to be a more well-rounded, less hated person in the world.
Less hated? Am I hated?
Yeah. I mean, no, you have to, because it's, I mean, I wasn't going to go into this, but if we're going to go into it, it's necessary white guy viewing so that you can better understand, the struggles.
Oh, gosh, I'm definitely cutting out.
Yeah, we're definitely cutting that. We're definitely cutting that out.
You want to give that a second draft?
Yeah. Something bad hombres, something Black Lives Matter. And you didn't hear that because you're frozen, so that's good.
Okay. You're frozen. Okay.
Yeah. No. Every time you freeze, you might hear this in the editing process, but every time you freeze, I either start scatting or I start So what happened there was I was just doubling down in what I said.
It's gonna be in the edit probably.
Oh yeah.
This will be another YouTube video that goes down immediately. Like this immediately goes private and it's destroyed.
In these inner cities, you can't go in without getting shot.
The game is the game.
Gotta understand the struggle. So
every man needs a code. Go ahead. I'm actually quoting The Wire.
Oh, life's a dirty game. You gotta play dirty to win it.
That's true.
So, yeah, which is from this is the theme song from The Wire.
Yes.
And it's a show that you've been watching, and I don't know if it's made it into the podcast. I don't think it has, but you've been referencing quite heavily. So funny, when I was doing the research for this, the reason why I did all the research into Tom Waits is because I thought it was him, and I saw like down the whole theme song to The Wire, and I was like, oh, this is something about The Wire. This is something about The Wire. And in the theme song to The Wire, in season 1 and season 2, all these like wavelengths are happening above the screen or above numbers, and the numbers are being like typed out. And I think it is a reference to like tracing phone calls. I have never seen The Wire. I don't know what that show is about. I don't know if it's a show where the entire show is an hour of tracing phone calls.
We will get to that. I will explain actually. And
good.
You'll find it interesting.
I'm glad, because I'm glad to get the synopsis of The Wire. I am scatting.
Frozen. You're so frozen.
No, I know when you're frozen. It's like I see you freeze, and then I immediately go into my nothing speech.
That's irritating. Not you, but so it's kind of bittersweet. But what I was going to do for this episode was just. Are you frozen? Or are you?
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay, I didn't know what you.
I guess I wasn't. I was writing down things because I'm like,
it's okay.
Trying to solve stuff.
So what I was gonna do was pretend that it was a real police case and not mention that it was actually I was explaining to you The Wire, and then at the end, for my outro joke, say. And join us next week when Zach realizes that Sam just explained season 1 of The Wire. And
well, do you want us to go?
Okay. Well, what did you say? You cut out at do.
I said, do you want me to go back art as a lie style and pretend I don't know it's from The Wire?
No, because I would want your honest reaction when you screamed at me. Because that's what would happen is you would go, ah! And you would be so mad if I had explained this whole court case, and then you were like, and then it's like, actually, I just explained to you the first.
Yeah, well, see, the thing is, man, I will never. I do not solve the puzzle, but I will know what the thing is a reference to because of my hard left turn policy. I'm much more interested in the presentation than the actual puzzle, because I saw the numbers and then I immediately was just like, I went to research like ciphers with numbers, and it was like, oh, do you mean all of them? And I was like, yeah, I guess so.
Well, never mind. I won't tell you. I'll tell you what keywords you should have looked up, and it would have gotten you that. It would have gotten you literally a scene where in the show The Wire where they explain the code.
All right. Nah, I didn't know that Wire was necessary viewing for this podcast.
No, but anyway, it doesn't matter. So, yes, that is a reference to The Wire, which is a TV show set in Baltimore, Maryland, about the Maryland Police Department, kind of, or the Baltimore Police Department, kind of. Like, it's kind of, the show is about the city as a whole. But it doesn't really have, like, a main character in any way. I mean, if you want to be pretentious, you could say the main character is the city, but it kind of is. Like, it really kind of is. Well, no, because like it's kind of a show about society. It's about the interlocking gears of society. So they don't really like. It seems like McNulty is the main character, but as the show goes on, it's like, well, not really. It's not really about him. He's just like a catalyst for a lot of things that happen. But anyway,
Sam, your film school is showing. I would say the main character of Breaking Bad isn't Walter Jesse, but it's humanity itself.
No,
it's our base impulses is the star of Breaking Bad.
I mean, you could make an argument that
you're the star of Breaking Bad. I'm the star of Breaking Bad.
I mean,
we are the star of Breaking Bad.
I'm gonna punch you. So the first season focuses around the struggle between the Baltimore police and this group of drug dealers run by Avon Barksdale. And Barksdale is he has this very sophisticated, compartmentalized crime group. So it's not quite a gang. Like they don't have gang colors or anything. It's just kind of a drug. I guess it's a gang. I guess it's the Barksdale gang, but it's never really treated that way. It's not like Bloods and Crips or anything. It's just. Yeah, I know. I'm just assuming that my audio is staying. This is so irritating.
Wait, did we not decide that it's my audio that's staying and your audio is not staying?
Well, that one time it was. I don't know. Whatever. So in the struggle with the Barksdale's crew, something they noticed pretty early on in the investigation is that the kids who are they call them hoppers, but they're just like the lowest level members of the crew, and they're the ones that like handle the drugs and handle the money and do all that sort of stuff. And they report to lieutenants who report to the higher ups, which are Avon Barksdale and this other character. And the hoppers don't have cell phones, which this show is set in like the early 2000s. So like everyone should have cell phones. And it's this big point of contention of like, why aren't they using cell phones? And they're using pagers. And so what is Major Crimes Unit, which is what McNulty's unit eventually becomes called. They basically, McNulty pulls some strings and gets people mad at each other so that he gets his own unit of cops to work on this investigation, and eventually it's called Major Crimes. But the Major Crimes Unit steals one of the beepers and clones it so that they can get the numbers that are coming up on the beeper. But the problem is, whenever the number will come up, it's a dead phone number. So like the number that I sent you, if you called it, probably wouldn't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a real phone number. And so they realized the code talk about with this code. What?
Your audio. I cannot explain what you look like. Like you look like a monster from a horror movie. Like you, like as you move your body, like it takes it a second for it to like it takes it a second to catch up. So it's like, and then like as you move into the camera, like your face is like block pixels. Like you look like a Minecraft person,
but terrible. Whatever, let's just slog through this episode. This sucks.
Let's just slog this episode. This sucks. Song Podcast, episode 17.
When did I cut off?
Yeah, I need to make marks of when you cut off.
Just the words, just I know what I was saying.
Yeah, I don't remember the words you were. I don't remember the exact point that you were saying.
Well, then what have I explained so far?
You've explained the beepers. You've explained how they cloned them and how he created this like Major Crimes Unit, and it doesn't matter because you're frozen right now. So everything that I'm saying to you,
okay, Zach, we can't
gone.
Can't do this.
This is
gonna work.
I mean, yeah, we are definitely riding the struggle bus here.
Yeah, this isn't going to work. Well, I guess we can just keep trying. If it sucks, if the audio is bad, we'll do it again because you know what the answer is. You know that it's the wire, so it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the big constraints and something that I find really interesting about this puzzle is the idea that they need a puzzle that is secure enough that the cops won't figure it out, but is also simple enough that the hoppers, who are kids, can remember it. Right? Because they're not writing anything down. They're just looking at their beeper, getting these dead phone numbers, going to payphones and typing them in and calling someone. And the reason they need to know what phone they're calling is so that they can get a wire tap, which is where the wire comes from. So you were asking earlier about if it's all about surveillance. Well, like kind of, they throughout the show use wiretaps over and over again. And so the show is called The Wire because it's referring to the wiretap. But they need the phone number to figure out who they're calling and who they're talking to, so they can get someone on the phone talking about drugs or confessing to a murder, so they can put them away.
Yeah.
And take down this drug enterprise. But what's interesting about the show, and this is kind of what I wanted to talk about, and we'll get to the actual code and how they solved it. But what's interesting about the show is they deal with the drug dealer characters very humanly. Like they're not really bad guys. And an idea that I've thought about, and I want to hear your thoughts on, is this idea that the problem is not that we have too many bad guys, but that we don't have enough bad guys. That the problem is that there are too many neutral actors who are just doing their best and doing what is in their self-interest. But what is causing a problem is there are too many competing forces to make things go well. So I'll give you an example. You could say these kids, the bad guys are the drug dealers. Okay, well, why are they selling drugs? Well, they're selling drugs because they need to provide for their brothers and sisters. Well, why don't their parents do it? Well, because their parents aren't around, or their parents are poor, or their parents can't get jobs. Well, why can't their parents get jobs? Well, there aren't jobs in the community. Why aren't there jobs in the community? Well, because the government can't fund the programs. Why? Well, because there aren't enough taxes. Why? Because everyone in the neighborhood doesn't make any money. Why? Because no one will live there because of drug dealers. And like there are these larger, or like we can't pay for after school programs because the schools aren't funded well. Well, why aren't the schools funded well? Well, because we need to fund the police department. Okay, and we need to fund the police department to take care of the drug problem. And the show deals with these larger ideas. That's why I kind of like jokingly we say like the show is about the city of Baltimore in my film studies annoying way. But it kind of is. And I just want to know what you think about those larger cogs, because I know you've worked in the education, I mean briefly, but you work in education. And I just want to know what you think about those larger forces in the city.
This is interesting because when I was in college, my undergrad dissertation, quote unquote, the thing that got me through the history program.
Hold on. Do you want to just start that sentence over again? Because you were frozen for a bit.
Yeah, I kind of figured I was frozen because you were also frozen. It's interesting that you say that because one of the things that I wrote whenever I was in college was my undergrad dissertation, quote unquote, was about a comparison and contrast of gang violence in the 1900s, so like the 1910s, 1920s, and gang violence in 1990s Los Angeles. So it was a comparison of New York City gangs in the turn of the century and Los Angeles gangs at the end of the century, and how the forces that brought them to that lifestyle were all very much the same. That it was what brought them into that lifestyle was primarily for one, survival, because there was no other way to survive on the streets because of all those competing factors that were in the way. And another thing was for a sense of community, because there was no sense of community in those neighborhoods because the only community was the gang violence or things like that. And it really does. This is definitely Solve It psychological edition, because that really, the question you asked was just a long form question of, is it right to feed your family on stolen bread?
Mm.
Because your intentions are good, but the way you go about those intentions are corrupt only by like man-made institutions, and you have to fight those institutions to stay alive. But as you fight them longer, you kind of disregard the institutions as a whole. um yeah, it's an interesting concept. In my paper, one thing that I mentioned the most was Kendrick Lamar's "Good Kid, Mad City,"
Sure.
which is probably my favorite album of all time. And there's a song called
Peer pressure. The
oh
art of
shoot,
peer pressure.
no, it's not there to peer pressure. It's
Sure.
oh, here we go. Right. The song I used the most heavily was one called "Money Trees,"
Oh,
where he talks about how a dollar can either kill you or save you, but money trees are the perfect place for shade, and that's just how I feel.
that's just how I feel.
So I'm gonna do that by any means necessary. And there is a guest track on that song, and that the whole point of that part is he is talking about just in the getting involved in the drug game, um, because he has to support his like wife, he has to support his like family, and they like he kind of addresses like that's wrong. It was like, yeah, but this is the way it is. And I will do this until I am shaded under money trees, because that's the only thing that will save me in this situation.
Oh, you're back. All right.
I'm back.
You cut out it like it will save me.
Yeah, well, it will save me because that is the only thing that will save me in this situation.
Yeah. And that's what's tough, and especially when you look at like, I don't know. Now we're just like two white guys talking about how to fix ghettos, and I realize that. I
As
don't
per usual.
know.
I mean, this is something that will happen when you watch The Wire.
I actually think that. I actually think that's what happens
Yeah,
when you watch The
yeah,
Wire.
yeah. When you
It's
watch,
like
that's what I'm
I
saying.
just
That is
happen
why
to be who is watching the show, but like I think anyone that watches this will think about like, oh man, what do you do? Like, yeah, I guess my opinion is somehow less valid because I'm like a white middle class dude. So
Mhm.
shut up about you know the inner city. But like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just something I think about with the like seeing these and something. It's a phrase that is used throughout the whole show, but it's this idea of the game, and they do a lot in
Mhm.
the show, which is really good, where they'll have two characters who are they do a lot with like not duality but mirroring. So they'll have two characters in unrelated stories, kind of unrelated stories, unrelated situations, using very much the same language. So they'll have so this phrase the game is used through every corridor of power, and they talk about like people trying to run for mayor. And I think that's kind of one of the main themes of the show. But like if you're trying to run for politics is a game. Drug dealing is a
Mhm.
game. Getting funding for your department in the police department is a game. The school system is a game. And like all of this is a part of the game. And there's one character who at one point he's trying to explain to this drug dealer that there is this larger world of business, and he's like, look, we don't have to sell drugs, we can sell real estate basically.
Mhm.
He's like, there's a larger game, there's a bigger game outside the game, and like the titular game is drug dealing, and they talk about people being in the game, but still this idea that there are these larger, and like whether you're a drug dealer or you're running for mayor, like you're always having to balance these forces of um, competing interest, which is
Mhm.
really difficult and really hard to do it. I mean, just that simple problem of, yeah, we need to get more kids in school so they'll stop doing drugs, but we can't fund the schools because we need to fund the police department because the police department is stopping people from doing drugs. And it's like, oh crap, like I don't have a solution for that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, and it really one thing that in my research that I discussed was just how much trying to stop those forces end up like vicious circling their way around into making them worse.
Sure.
So, for example, like you uh, drug charges. So you take that person and you put them in jail, and it's like, well, great, we solved that problem. Well, not really, because that person could have had a son, and that person now is growing up without a positive influence, and they're going to grow up and they're going to fall victim to it again. And like it's almost like the way I described it is it's kind of like whack-a-mole,
Sure.
because every time you like stomp out one thing, it's only going to bring up a problem somewhere else. And but the factors are so competing that there's one where you have to do things with force, and there's one you have to do things with love, and like you only have one mallet, and so you can't stomp out all the problems, because other problems will just pop up and arise out of you trying to get rid of that problem, which honestly is the history repeating itself in this way really is like the theme of the world today, I would say, because primarily all the things that are happening, whether it be through institutionalized racism or like terrorism or like wars or foreign policy or whatever, it essentially is the continuation of bad judgment in the past that was trying to fix bad judgment further back.
You're always fighting the last war, right? This is
you're always fighting, like, in the same, I mean, really, because we talked about this recently with like everything really does, because you always think that you always think you're in good hands when people are like smart and they like try to solve problems. But the smartest people in the world wrote the Treaty of Versailles, and so everything really has a Treaty of Versailles moment where you trying to solve a problem accidentally makes it a whole bunch worse. But all you're trying to do is like, you're just trying to fix the now. It's like, all right, I fixed the now, everything's fine.
right.
And then like you had no perception that this thing that you thought was fixing it made it worse for everyone in the future.
Because and we've talked about this at length before, but like Treaty of Versailles was very antagonistic towards Germany, which made it easy for a nationalistic populist leader to come up in not just Adolf Hitler but the Nazi Party. And that need for redemption and that need for dignity again is what led to
Frozen.
I mean, the Cold War probably would have happened either way, but
you froze. But the last thing you said was trying to restore that dignity.
Oh, okay. And an effort to restore that dignity to Germany is what helped, the Nazi Party and Adolf Hitler come to power, right? If they had not been in so much debt, they wouldn't have needed to find a scapegoat for their financial problems. They wouldn't have needed to scapegoat the Jews, and they wouldn't have needed to fight a war. They wouldn't have needed to get back at France had we done something more like the Marshall Plan, which we did in World War II, and restored their economy and said, we know you're sorry. This was all just a big problem for everyone. Let's just work together. But then you look at, World War II, and the fallout from that led to tensions between the USSR and the United States, and the Cold War caused a bunch of proxy wars, including arming the Taliban in the Middle East, which led to the war in Iraq. And then the vacuum left from that and the Arab Spring, that's today. That's where we are today. So,
Yeah.
you know,
And I mean, the same, it's like that would be a macro
sure.
aggression. But that same, it's like,
It's all in the game.
like, yeah, it's all the game. I mean, it's that same idea in the same way that like Hollywood and like stories, there's only like 20 stories and like they
Sure.
all kind of follow that same thing. Both macro stories, this isn't a unique situation. This happens on micro levels as well. And that
Right.
same micro level, like you could just kind of mad lib your way through that and you could describe like tons of things that are happening in East LA, or yeah, you could describe tons of things that are happening in South Central Los Angeles in the 1990s that kind of like spilled over to today. That it
Sure.
was institutionalized racism in the 1950s. Like it was like an aggression was formed between like the minorities and the police, and that them trying to fix that spilled over into their children and then their children, and like that aggression just like kind of continued and doubled over. And
Right. And now you
uh,
have, and to bring it back to Kendrick Lamar, that super awesome line from that album where he says, they're talking about dealing with the gang
I knew
crimes.
you were gonna say that. Yeah,
You killed my cousin back in '94. Fuck your truce. And like,
yeah,
it's just kind of like, yeah, I mean, there's,
yeah.
right. Like you have gang warfare and like you have people killing each other. Like at some point it's like,
No,
okay, we need to realize what is, and gosh, I should see this movie, but Chirac, where they talk about,
hmm
we need to stop the violence. It's like, yeah, we need to stop the violence. But like, there's no better way to say it. Like, you killed my cousin back in '94. Fuck your truce. Like,
yeah,
no. Like,
yeah,
I know that for the whole system, it would be better if we stopped killing each other. But I have a personal problem, and I'm going.
yeah,
What you said about feeding your children off of stolen bread. It's like I recognize that stealing bread is bad for the
hmm
system, but I'm going to feed my children.
yeah. And that's, I mean, and really that is like, yeah. For my thing, I read a book called Monster,
Sure.
by this guy named Cody Johnson, who was a reformed Crip, and essentially like the way the book talks about gang warfare, and essentially like every single time he talks about killing someone, it was all in retaliation for something else.
Right.
Um,
It's
or
it's the Treaty of Versailles.
it's the
Yeah.
Treaty of Versailles, or it was a way to make your name great in the community as
Mm.
someone that was like not to be messed with. Um, so yeah, it's like the same thing with like Germany. It's retribution and seeking and reattaining pride
Right.
for your own name. And yeah, like that, and that really is the problem, that like you can't just throw out these blanket terms of like, oh, we should, like, this will fix everything, because everyone has such a, it's, for the reason why it's happening is because there are personal conflicts happening.
Sure.
And exactly, like you can throw whatever at the situation, but I personally need to feed my family, and so I'm going to do it by whatever means necessary. And or like, yeah, you can try to have all these gangs assign a thing that they're not going to hurt each other anymore, but it's like, well, no. Like I still have vengeance towards this, and this is my own personal problem, and you can't like blanket term that, because it all is happening on a personal level rather than like a systematic level.
Right. Um. Yeah, it's frustrating. Anyway, that's what The Wire is about. But it kind of gets back, and that's why, getting back to that original thing that I posed to you, is that idea that the problem is not that there's too many bad guys, it's that there's not enough of them, right? Like if people were goblins, it's like, oh cool,
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
get rid of the goblins. Like, oh,
And,
these
like,
are. I mean, you think about a story like Lord of the Rings. Like, this is like literally, who are they fighting? Oh, these are monsters that came out of the muck. Like, they
yeah,
literally were born of
yeah.
fire and mud, and they're here to kill everyone. And it's like,
Mhm.
oh, well then, yeah,
They're
murder all of them.
yeah. Like, yeah,
But if
they have no other agenda. That's another thing, and this might go off the rails a little bit. But that is another reason why I hate conspiracy theories with a great
Nope,
vengeance.
no, no, no.
Uh,
I didn't hear anything you said.
yeah. Uh, this might go off the rails a little bit, but when you say that, it kind of makes me remember how much I hate conspiracy theories.
Sure.
Uh, because even though we are a podcast about puzzles and codes and the Illuminati, because the Illuminati is real,
Illuminati
um,
confirmed.
Illuminati confirmed, uh, is because you're taking a very complex issue and putting it down into simple terms of like, these are the good guys, these are the bad guys, these
Yeah.
guys will always be good, these guys will always be evil.
Yeah.
But no one, there's not enough bad guys. There's no
It's-
one that's just like, I'm purely evil and I'm here to just mess things up. Here
Yeah.
I go.
The Brandenburg Group and the Rothschilds and the Illuminati, like those are very easy scapegoats. That's
Yeah,
a much
because
easier
how-
situation than like, oh, sorry,
Because
it's just impossible. Like
yeah, because how easy would it be if they were just the no-face monsters from like Doctor Who, whatever. Like, I mean, another thing, like that's I think that's one of your beefs with the Avengers movies is
gosh.
that there's always a scene where it's like, who are these guys? Oh, they're evil, and there's 1,000 of them, and I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, whatever. Well, and this is absolutely the third rail. I shouldn't say that. I don't know what that phrase means. I know how to use it, but I don't know where it comes from.
Third rail, you know what a third rail is?
No, can you explain to me the third rail?
Yeah, a third rail is the thing that gets subways moving, and it's like electric, and if you touch it, you die.
Oh,
Yeah, so like the third rail, you can never touch it because there's so much electricity in it that it'll just zap you, and then you'll be dead.
okay,
So a
okay.
third rail is something you can't touch.
Because so it's like a conversation that is too controversial that it'll blow up everything.
Yeah.
Well, we are going to touch the third rail. While I disagree with this viewpoint almost 90% of the time, I would probably cut this. When you look at these larger forces, like it is very easy to see something like the Confederate goblins, and the North had to defeat them, and it's like
You froze.
Okay, good.
You froze. But the last thing you said was, "It's very easy to see."
Okay,
When you look at these
it's
forces,
very
it's
easy
very
to
easy to see.
it's very when you look at these forces, it's very easy to see the South as goblins, as like, oh, these were like evil slavers who were trying to kill all the black people and all this kind of stuff. Like, it's like like again, while I think it is a ridiculous argument to say that the Civil War was not about slavery, it's much more complicated than that. And like the 1-to-1 ratio of like why, like there is all this heritage, and now granted there was certainly a lot of bigotry and hating black people. They talking about Nazi Germany and talking about how it was really easy for British intelligence to find out about Nazi plans because all the Nazis were turning immediately. They're like, no, we don't want to be a part of this. Like they would get captured and be like, yeah, screw it. Here's all the plans. And they would get so much intel because like 1-to-1, they're like, no, we don't want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's complicated. Again,
I
want to make perfectly clear. It was the states' rights to slavery. Just so clear.
Yeah.
It was the states' rights to own other humans, but it's complicated.
Yeah, and I think
I'm literally cutting all of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think
it's not going good.
I think that really is like the way that things go, because primarily the times that have had the most war and genocide or just like the worst stuff have been all created out of obedience and not disobedience.
Yeah.
And so it really was like people in power trying to take a very complex thing and just kind of put it in boxes.
Yeah.
But there's tons of gray. And because there's tons of gray, you can't really, because I like the funny thing, like you said, like with slavery, they were obeying the law. Right. So it'd be very easy to see like, we're in the right here.
Right.
And so
We've done this for 400 years.
yeah. This is the way things are.
Or more than
Um,
that of like, and again, like it is true, like not everyone in the South owned slaves. Part of it was this idea of country and this idea of where you're from.
mhm.
And just that like we don't even want to get in this war. But if the state of Tennessee is going to fight a war, I'm gonna fight for Tennessee. And it's like, oh,
Yeah,
but
no, that's
not like, no, we're here to keep slavery. That's why we're here. Oh, it's so complicated.
you you froze after you said I'm going to fight for Tennessee.
Oh, well, like people come in and they say like, you know, they are fighting this war because they're fighting for Tennessee because that's where they're from.
Yeah, and
But you know,
that's the reason why Robert E. Lee was a general in the Civil War, was because he was fighting for Virginia, and that was
yeah.
his whole deal. Was he was like, is like, I don't really agree with the policies or whatever, but I'm gonna fight for Virginia no matter what. Like
Did you know?
I'm not gonna fight for Pennsylvania.
Right. Did you know that there's a speech that was given by the vice president of the Confederacy, like right when the war had started, and it's now known as the Cornerstone speech, and it is where he there's a quote from him saying that the cornerstone of the Confederate Republic was that the white man is more valuable than the Negro.
Oh wow, well,
Yep. And
really
then
really buried the lead.
yeah, and then after the war, Jefferson Davis wrote this like 2-volume history of the South, where basically
Mhm.
the whole states' rights
Yeah,
argument comes from. Like this whole fantasy of the South comes from
because I mean,
this book by Jefferson Davis.
if you're gonna lose, you might as well cover your ass while you're losing. You might
Well,
as well just be like,
he kind of does, and
yeah,
like
like,
I haven't read
well,
it, so I probably shouldn't talk about it. But my friend Ben, he's read it, and he's just like, oh yeah, every argument you hear now was made up in this book.
it's from. Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, yeah, but also like I could totally understand the argument of like I'm from Tennessee, my family's from Tennessee. If Kentucky is going to come down here and fight me, like, I'm going to fight for my land. And it's like, oh,
Mhm.
but also owning people. Like,
Yeah.
no. Yeah, I don't know.
Speak,
I don't want to talk about the Civil War.
speaking of third rail, we derailed with that one. That one's off. Squibbity bibbity bibbity bop, bobbity bibbity bibbity boop, squibbity
No.
bit bit up. Nope,
So you
no.
said speaking of third rails.
Rails. I was gonna make something
No,
up.
okay.
Uh,
Yeah, let's stop talking
I
about the
said,
Civil War. Well, and all of these
yeah,
things, and Nazi Germany, all of it's just like, oh man, I wish that scapegoats were easier, but it's like, no, it's just so
yeah,
complicated. Like I wish
yeah.
scapegoats were real. And it's like,
It's
no, we're
like,
fighting goblins. Like these are goblins. Kill them.
that shit went down a really bad way. I wish it hadn't gone down that way.
Yeah. It's like
Bobbity boop.
it's just so complicated. And then and again, you look at the war on drugs, and that's more where this rounds out to The Wire, right? You look on the war on drugs and it's like, oh man, yeah. I mean, you could do
Pot,
street level
pots
bust
with
and
coke,
put all
pots with
what?
cocaine residue. Every day I'm hustling. What else is a thug to do
Stop.
when I eat cheese from the government? Got to provide for my daughter and then get the fuck out of my way, bitch. Drop that,
There's way too much. It's a great. I
drop
mean,
that work up in the bushes. Hope them boys don't see my
stop.
stash. If they do tell the
Stop.
truth, this is the last time you might see my ass.
Stop. I'm just
But yeah, that's actually a line because I asked my professor,
kidding. Crew had was that they
son of a
needed.
bitch.
Was I frozen?
You froze. Now you're a goblin again.
It's cool. So rounding back out to The Wire and the war on drugs, which again is this very complicated system that's hard to understand, and there's no simple villain and there's no simple solution. The fictional Barksdale crew, um, they had to come up with a code that they could tell their hoppers, tell their boots on the ground people who to call with, and they had to encode it so that if anyone was using a wiretap, they would not know what it was, but it was a code simple enough. But Eventually, in the show, they had they cracked the puzzle, and I think it is sophisticated in how simple it is.
Mhm.
So, Zach, I need you to pull out your phone and go to the keyboard, or like the number part, like the dialing part.
Yeah.
Okay.
My phone calls people? This is weird.
It's
One
not
thing I've
just
noticed,
yeah. Go ahead.
one thing I've noticed when I work at Starbucks is how often people are like on the phone, like talking to someone. And I only talk, the only person, if you ever see me on the phone talking to a person, it is my mom. Like there is no other person that I will be on the phone with, unless it's you, because every once in a while you will have a lot of information to transfer to me. And then like, I'll be like mid texting it to you. And then you'll call me and be like, it's this is easier this way.
Yeah,
And I'm like, yeah,
I
you're
hate
right.
texting. I prefer
Yeah,
phone
yeah.
calls all the time. Okay.
Okay. Well then I guess this is you. I got it out.
Okay, so pull out the dial. So take what's the first number? 2.
Yes.
Take the 2 and jump it over the 5.
Ooh, is this the checkers cipher?
Is that an actual cipher?
No,
Oh,
but
you're
I jumped over it like it was checkers.
yes. No,
Um,
actually, it's just like oh my gosh, it's just like checkers.
oh my gosh, we should name this the checkers cipher,
No, no,
and
no, no,
then
no. If you'd seen season 1 of The Wire, you would know why that is interesting. There's a
oh
whole thing
well
about
then
checkers and chess in season 1 of The Wire.
I really am glad I'm glad I film schooled the film schooler.
Oh man.
Um,
Anyway, so take the 2, jump it over the 5.
and I get 8.
Okay. Then the next number is what?
Hold on.
Basically, you'll do this for all of them. Is you take
Okay.
whatever number it is and jump it over the 5, and that will get the other number.
Oh, so I always jump it over 5.
Correct.
Well, that makes sense because I was actually trying to solve this earlier, and I realized that um, zero because I had found a similar way of the cipher where I was trying to transfer the numbers into letters as always, and I said,
Sure.
oh well, the numbers are already transferred to letters on the dial, and 1 and
Uh,
0 don't have numbers, and
right.
so I was just like, what is this, a blank? Um,
No.
Oh,
No.
ooh,
Zero's the same.
Sam, how do I jump? Because I have 2, 4, 3, 5. How do I jump 5 over 5? Drop that work up in the bushes. Hope them boys don't see my stash. If they do tell the truth, this the last time you might see my
Okay.
ass.
With the 5s, you just keep them the same. 5s and 0s just stay the same.
Oh, okay.
So while Zach is solving the puzzle, if you want to go to iTunes and rate and review our podcast, that'd be great. If you want to become a member of the shadowy horde that is our audience, shout out to us on Instagram or Twitter.
Or don't, because that's what the shadowy horde does. They do not shout out to us.
Zach, is what you're suggesting is that our audience not interact with us?
I mean, if you want to be a part of the shadowy horde and interact with us, like you'll be one of the most outstanding members of the shadowy horde.
There was one guy on Twitter that I was sending lots of puzzle. I wish I
Yeah,
could.
and shout out to, we actually had one user shouting us out or getting in contact with us on Instagram. So, and he also sent
Oh,
us a
really?
puzzle, and you probably need to go on Instagram and solve that
Oh.
one because you already know I'm not going to solve it.
That's cool. I did not know that. Oh, I don't know how to say this person's name. Tef Osaurus. I'm so sorry.
I feel like
I had a lot of fun sending puzzles back and forth about spaghetti to this person, but I Tef Osaurus.
oh yeah, that was the one where he kept also tagging our number one fan, Lindsay Jacobs,
Correct.
in all of those.
Tefan. Okay, I don't know. Maybe this is easier to find. At Tefan726.
I think
handle.
Tefan726. I think he's been with us since the beginning.
Oh, cool. Well,
Yeah. So
he understands a Caesar cipher.
yeah. Well, that
He,
means he has at least listened to episode one.
yeah, so maybe he has been there since the beginning. Um, but yeah, thanks for sending that. But yeah, if you want to be a part of the audience and you want to, it'd be great if you could send us a rate and review on iTunes because it really helps out grow the show. And if you want to contact us or send us puzzles or whatever, we'd love to hear from you. So thanks. Zach, have you solved the puzzle?
Okay. I have a bunch of numbers.
Could you read out those
Is that the
numbers in
goal?
a melodic tone?
Yes. Uh, yeah, I got it. The numbers are 8, 7.
No.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Sorry. The numbers are 8, 6, 7, 5, 3, 0, 9. Gosh dang it!
I was just waiting. It's like,
Oh man.
I think you mean 8675309. I think that's what you mean.
Oh, it's really funny because I like the audience that can't see this, but I like put okay, well I'm not talking to anyone right now. I'm talking to myself because the thing is
Well, no,
paused.
I don't know what you said. Yeah.
That's funny because I was just saying that.
That's funny.
So that's that's funny because the audience can't see this unless you join us on our live shows. But I wrote this all down and I looked up at Sam and with a look of because if there's one thing I know that Sam has with the puzzles is it's never just the thing.
Nope.
But is this the thing? Is this Tommy Two-Tone reference the thing?
Yeah. Well, because the thing is, like, I didn't really. I mean, I like the puzzle. Mostly, I wanted to talk about the wire, and so I was like, oh, I need a phone number, but I'm not gonna have my phone number because I'm not gonna put my phone number out on the internet. Also, not your phone. There was no phone number I could use. Whereas, like, oh, this is a real phone number, but it's something I can send to everyone, and so 8675309 is what I did.
Oh man, this cipher, man, this cipher would have been great to use if pager still existed.
Sure. The thing is, there's another cipher in season 5 of The Wire, and it requires using an analog clock and a map book, like an atlas book.
Ooh, that's like a that is kind of.
What part did you hear?
I said it requires a map book. It has analog clock and a map book.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah. So I decided to use the one that used pagers and payphones instead because that was somehow more recent than those things.
So what we should do is we should get business cards, right? And we should have one of our numbers on the business card, but using this cipher so that the people
so that no one can contact us.
So that no one can contact us.
Here's my business card, so you can't reach out to me. Here's
my business card, and it's all encoded. Like it is just impossible.
No. Well, see, that would be fine. If it was Pigpen, they'd be like, oh, obviously this is something. If it was just the wrong. This is frustrating.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Well, you stopped.
Through most of that bit, I mean, through most of the major part of the conversation, we weren't frozen. Also, to our one viewer, I am in a different location than usual. I do have a microphone, which is great, but I'm in a different location than usual, so we don't have good as Wi-Fi. So if you come into the live show next week, it won't be as stuttery.
It won't be as trash.
Okay, you want to do an outro?
Yeah. Well, actually, say that one thing again.
About what?
That the thing about if the business card is all encoded.
Oh, right. So what you're saying is if the business card was all encoded, if it was like Pigpen, they would know like, oh, this is a code. If it was just the wrong number, they would just they're not going to think like, huh, this is a dead number. They must be using a code from The Wire. They'd be like, oh no, this guy's just a jerk. He gave me. I guess I'll never contact him. Like I don't think they.
Yeah. This. Oh yeah, I guess I'm not going to get in contact with this super pretentious guy. Okay, yeah I guess we're done.
So probably not. I'm probably not going to scramble up my phone number like that.
Okay, that's good. Or we could just do the other thing, which is we could, because my favorite cipher to date has always been the cipher. I forgot what it was called, but the one where you just bold different letters and it reveals an entire different message.
The bacon
Um,
cipher.
yeah, because that one's so great because you can just like for all my only the true horde will notice that one.
The true horde.
Only a true horde a
I
member
like
would.
I like the true horde. The shadowy horde of our audience.
Yeah, that's great because because this podcast is on the up and up. Whenever when we get millions, son of a bitch.
So angry. You cut out at up and up.
So
I want this to be
uh,
over.
so that's one thing about this podcast. This is great because when we get millions of subscribers, we can just say like we can just command them at our disposal and be like for the horde, for the shadowy horde,
That lives in the mirror in Sam's old apartment.
for the shadowy for the haunted mirror horde,
The haunted mirror horde.
the shadowy horde that lives in the mirror in Sam's apartment.
Gross.
Gross.
I'm gonna cut it right there. I'm gonna cut it right at gross. All right. I don't have an outro joke because my outro joke was about you not knowing it's The Wire. So once again, we need to find an outro joke.
So once again, time to go to my most visited page. Time to go look at suspense thrillers.
I have 1% battery, so I'm gonna let you handle this one.
Oh damn it, Jenny! I got your number.
Oh wait, no.
need
I know what I'll do. I got it. Thanks for joining us this week on Solve It. My name's Sam Cherry, and I'm co-hosting as always with Zach Johnson. If you want to reach out, talk to us on Instagram or Twitter. You can email us at solveitpodcast@gmail.com or hit us up on our MySpace, although I am legitimately not sure how that works. And if you could, oh gosh.
Woo, baby.
And if you could leave us a rate and review on iTunes. Join us next week when Zach uses analog clocks in a map book to tell us where Fuck. Join us next week when Zach uses analog clocks in a map book to find out where Marlo Stanfield is. Thanks. Bye. That's a reference to season 5 of The Wire.
The only thing I know about season 5 of The Wire is that everyone universally hated the theme song.
Really?
I found because it's all the same theme song, but it's just different variations of it.
Correct.
But I found so many people being like, "Oh yeah, season 5 was trash," and I was just like, "Okay." Like the season 5 theme song was just trash, and I was like, "Okay." Like,
so the very beginning, man, the first scene of The Wire is totally unconnected from the rest of the story. But they're talking about there's this guy. Oh gosh, I can't even explain this. It's awesome. But it's basically this guy, Snot Boogie. And they're like, why do you call him Snot Boogie? And they're like, I don't know. We should call him Snot Boogie. And they're like, some kid, they said his mom goes through all the trouble to name him, Omar, whatever. They call him Snot. And that's his name for the rest of his life, Snot Boogie. And are you watching Cracked?
I loaded up this video.
Fucking. I'm not telling my story.
No, funny thing is what happened right there. Hold on, Sam. I'll tell you what happened because this happened a few times throughout what has happened with your story right here. Sure. You said, why they call him Snot? He just cut out. And then I went,
whatever.
I pulled this up.
He's going to be in the show. Anyway, there's this great thing. Snot Boogie would always, they'd play craps, and whenever there'd be a bunch of money on the table, he would always just grab all the money and run. And McNulty's like, why'd you let him play? Like, he would do it every week, and they're like, yeah, he would do it every week. And we'd beat his ass, but, it's, nothing more than that. He said, so why would you let him play? And the dude goes, this is America. You gotta let him play. No. He goes, this is America. You gotta let him play. And like that one line is what the whole show's about. It's like this idea that like this is but he's doing something that's hurting you, or he's doing something that you think is unfair. He's cheating, and it's like, why do you let him play? And he's like, this is America. Gotta let him play.
Yeah.
The game is the game.
Gosh,
so good.
Dude, I'll
good.
watch The Wire.
You should watch The Wire.
Back. I'll watch the.
Okay. Hey, one viewer. You're the realist. If you
You're
know
the realist.
us, shoot us.
Is it Lindsay Jacobs? Oh, never mind.
Might be Lindsay Jacobs. I have no idea. We're gonna cut the show now, but hey, come back for next week. We're recording Sunday at 1:00.
When we have
Welcome
better
to the
Wi-Fi.
Shadowy Horde. Yeah.
Shadow